The changing of the weather and the season signifies the end of the racing season. For GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, it's a homecoming for many of the Midwest-based drivers as they tackle the 2.21-mile GingerMan Raceway in the fall-tinted South Haven, Michigan. As beautiful as the foliage is, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything as colorful and powerful as 50 racing machines lined up on pit road about ready to go racing for the first time this weekend. It's a 15-minute sprint race, but it might as well be 30 seconds with the amount of chaos we're about to witness. Welcome back to GRIDLIFE Live, brought to you by FCP Euro, and my name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Tom O'Gorman again. Tom, qualifying was crazy earlier. We have 50 cars about ready to go racing for 15 minutes. Oh boy.
Oh boy is right. And you touched on it already. You can see in the sky, and especially on those Falcon banners, it is windy, and it is actually sprinkling despite the sunshine out here for race 1 at GLTC. Like you said, we're taking 50 cars, we're throwing a green flag, and we are wheel-to-wheel racing, just like you would when you boot up Forza, just like you would if you're watching NASCAR, Formula 1, whatever motorsports you love. This is proper wheel-to-wheel competition, and we have 50 cars about to take that green flag. But this weather is absolutely affecting the weekend, not only because all of practice was wet, qualifying was the first time we had a dry track, but now it may, at any point in this race, and even though it's only 15 minutes, it could just dump water everywhere and throw a really big wrench into this race.
It's generated a lot of uncertainty in the paddock. I got a quick chance to run down and talk to a couple people. Aaron Lichty was one of the drivers I wanted to go seek out. He was going to try some BFG tires. He decided, no, I'm going to go back to the Hoosiers for the race.
Yeah, he didn't like them.
He didn't like them. So tire choice is going to be a big discussion, not only for Aaron Lichty, like I was trying a different brand of tire, but also, I mean, I would not dare go out on wets in a situation like this, but maybe 5 minutes into the race, that's the tire to have. So there's a lot of uncertainty here. I'm not sure anybody really knows what's going to happen in this race. My concern is everybody starting from basically 10th on back is going to be in the middle of what I would call a hornet's nest. It's going to be crazy and chaotic. This racetrack is not that wide. There's runoff, as I do air quotes here, but it's grass. It's not pavement, so there's really no escape route here. If you go off, you're going to go for a ride.
And Kyle, would you call it a whole heck ton of cars?
I would call it a whole heck ton of cars. When we got them rolling through turn number 1 now on pit out, and GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race number 1 is dedicated to longtime GingerMan Raceway employee Albert Rawson, who provided medical services and helped anywhere he could. Albert passed away a few months ago, and his smile will be sorely missed. So again, race number 1 for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup dedicated to GingerMan Raceway employee Albert Rawson as the field rolls out. 50 cars, so I think we had 46 in total. That's 23 rows of race cars. And if you're back in row number 23, you're going to, you know, what I would do is probably just back it down and just watch turn 1, because I think you're probably going to get a couple passes done just watching it.
Yeah, and GingerMan Raceway, not a super wide racetrack, and an interesting sequence of corners greets the green flag. You have turn 1, a fast left, and then a tighter 180 to the right for turn 2. So the car on the outside for turn number 1 actually gets the inside almost immediately for turn 2. We've seen 3, almost 4 wide into turn 1 here. Again, not a wide racetrack. That is crazy to go 3 wide and almost 4 wide. We've had drivers go, 2 in the grass to take positions at the start. One of them is starting on pole. Eric Coutil was the pole sitter from qualifying earlier today, knocking on the door of GLTC track record pace, and he's going to start next to a very familiar winning Formula Miata with Aaron Lichty on the front row. Those two, again, just kind of the class of the field. Everywhere we go, when they're here together, they can't seem to get away from each other, and that's going to be a really exciting battle. But big names through the field, and I believe we're going to see 2 pace laps to really get some temp in the field and back everybody up, because as you can see, we still have cars leaving pit lane. They're not even done yet. That's not the last one. When you see a red Miata and then a black and red S2000, those are the final cars off grid, and they're still not even out there.
It's certainly a bunch of cars that are lined up and ready to go rolling here. In row number 2, Emil Tab, winner from one of the races at Road America. Justin Kelly had a win at Pikes Peak International Raceway. Brandon Puck is starting in 5th alongside Ben Dozman, who had an exceptional qualifying run. Ben Hariska, what a story. Destroyed that car lap 1, turn 1 at Road America. Here he is rolling off in 7th place right alongside Ryan Upham, who just missed out on a victory at Road America. So a lot of people up here that are just craving a victory in this GRIDLIFE Touring Cup category.
Yeah, a couple drivers that we need to keep an eye on outside of that top 10 before we run through a full grid is the first one really for me is Luke McGrew. He's starting 12th. That car has won a race here. He won race 4 earlier in the spring. He's won pole positions in other races at other events, has had a lot of reliability issues, and again, there was a ton of traffic. I mean, 50 cars for qualifying on this 2-point-something mile track, 2.12, whatever it is. Everyone said, even on my fastest laps, I was either passing or letting people by. Ben Dozman was one of them. He said, I passed 3 cars on that lap to end up 6th on the grid. grid. So it was just so packed. I don't think this qualifying order is really the best indication of the actual speed of these cars. Another driver that is actually sharing the car this weekend, that's Andy Smedgaard, the car number 212, is team driven this weekend, I think, with Ronnie Solomon, and I think Ronnie qualified it down in 27th this morning. So that could be another car, especially if Andy gets in, but also as Ronnie gets up to speed.
So
that will be coming through the field.
Word on the street is that Andy Smedgaard was going to drive it if it was going to rain. I don't know if they could know that.
No one knows that, and that's the next thing we need to talk about. As you can see, it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen. I think it's pretty imminent. At some point, this track is going to get wet. I'm going to knock, and commentator's curse is probably too late.
Yeah,
I'm going to knock on this table, but that's the thing is when these drivers came to grid, there was a 3-minute cutoff. When you come to grid, if you were late, you start at the back because there's 50 cars. Gridding 50 cars takes a long time, and I'm going to say it's raining. It's definitely raining.
And so drivers that went out on slicks, this is the time to be extremely cautious.
Well, and
we've got 50 cars out there, Tom. Be very careful.
And that was what I was going to say is these drivers went to grid in the absolute beautiful sunshine 6 minutes ago, and now it's pouring rain. It looks like down in at least turn 1, 2, and 3. This track covers enough distance that it's probably not raining everywhere, but we're going to take a green flag potentially. I mean, at this point, race control still has the choice to make a change.
I would almost recommend that they let drivers come down and change tires. But again, because this is from a driver's standpoint, you go down into turn 1, you're expecting there to be grip. If you're on slick tires and the track is wet by the time we get there, that's a big risk in a field of 46
right.
cars.
And a lot of times if you're watching this kind of weather already happening in grid, there's still a decision to make. What tires do I want? But these guys went to grid with absolutely no reason to go out on wets, and now it's completely wet.
So waiting for the field to come around turn number 11 and see if we'll get a green flag this time. See, cars still catching up on the backside of the track as we sort of evaluate the weather situation here. It looks like there's a safety truck parked over in turn number 11. I'm not sure if it's trying to establish itself in a certain area or if we're waiting to see what the plan is here. It is raining now very heavily.
Yeah.
And again, if you're on slick tires, this is, and for a guy like Ben Harisco, think back to Road America, he had slick tires on, and that was part of the thing that contributed to the collision that he had in the kink at Road America. So he's just rebuilt this car. If I'm Ben Harisco, I see this situation, I wouldn't go out there. I would pull off, at least change tires before trying.
Well, you certainly have some PTSD, and honestly, the season storyline, other than obviously COVID-19, has been weather. We've had rain races at least once at over half the events this year. So this isn't that unfamiliar territory. You know, these drivers are used to driving in the wet at this point, but it's still a really high tension situation as we are packing up and pairing up. It looks like we're going to take a green flag.
We are going to at least do one more. Are we taking a green flag? We are. All right. Pace cars off. The GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race number 1 from GRIDLIFE Midwest 2020.
Oh, man.
We're racing, and we're already 3 wide in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead as we head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide in a couple places. Slip and slide for Aaron Lichty as he goes around the outside. It's Kamiata's on the front row, and look at just how twitchy those cars are. Are we still clean in the background? We are.
Wow, that was amazing. So look at Emil Tab around the outside. Oh, there's a car way faster.
Pervez Randalia off on the outside of 2. Look at the back end of Woody Hyman slipping as the rest of the field streaming up towards turn number 3, but it's Emil.
Yeah, Luke McGrew leads the way. Sorry, we had a power outage here in the stream station. Luke McGrew leads the way. Might be on wet tires there, Tom?
Oh, my God. He took the gamble of the century. He's definitely on his Hoosier wets, and he went to grid in the complete sunshine, knowing it might actually rain.
Wow.
And it's paying off right now as Luke McGrew has the lead. It looks like Brandon Puck is second, but we are still racing. We had a clean start, a couple of offs, but everybody was able to rejoin. One of the big losses we had was Eric Coutil. For some reason, he went off at turn 3. Maybe error, maybe was pushed off. We don't know, but he was slow coming out and let basically the entire field by. I don't even see him on track right now. There he is. He is exiting turn 3. But right now, look at that car on the screen. That is Luke McGrew leading the way, gambling with the wets, and it's paying off right now. But the sun's back out.
Yeah, we have one win for Luke McGrew in GLTC. It was here a couple months ago, back in June. It was using the field invert, but he's played a strategy call here, and it's working out. Brandon Puck in behind him. Again, I think it was his first event at Road America a few weeks ago. He ran really well. Woody Hyman, we mentioned if it was damp conditions, he'd be in a great spot. Who's that in third? The 150. Oh, that's Brandon Puck. That's second.
Whoa.
Chatroop is coming too.
Yeah, and that is Hyman in third. It looks like he's on his slicks, but Hyman is always good in the wet, so I'm not surprised to see him up to third. Chatroop was that silver BMW with the massive slide coming into frame. There he goes now with Justin Kelly just behind. So Emil Tab grabbed the lead at the start. He's fallen all the way down to about 9th. Christoph has worked his way into the top 10. Now we're watching the field kind of stream past the screen. But wait, there goes Luke McGrew down the back straight now as we work lap number 2. It's, again, a 15-minute race, and it rained as we took the green flag to really turn this race on its head.
Down into turn number 3, there was some side-by-side with Justin Kelly as well. So Luke McGrew leads the way. Brad Adams is right in front of, I think that's Eric Meadows in the number 3 car as he heads down into, I think that's the backside of the course there. So across the line again.
Chatroop, huge slide once again. That was the silver BMW again, completely sideways coming off of turn 11. And what's really interesting about GingerMan, you see that new pavement in turn number 1. It's really dark. That has grip everywhere. The old pavement that's a little bit lighter in color, that has grip offline, but the online grip goes really bad. Luke McGrew continuing to drive away, making, again, the gamble of the century. I still am blown away by that, as now we have a battle for second place between Woody Hyman and Brandon Puck, and then a huge scrap for about 5th place just behind them. There's the toot. Look at them slipping and sliding all the way to the outside.
He's wide. He's wide. He's off the track. Puck off in the dirt in turn number 3, and through goes Hyman to second place. The 115 gets back on course. Chatroop can't be too far behind, and he smells blood in the water.
Yeah, Puck with that little mistake. It's going to take time to recover as the rest of the field's streaming through. So it's Puck and then Tab. Ben Dozman's held on for another top 5 position. You can just tell from Luke McGrew's gap that he is the only driver on rain tires.
Yeah, and again, what a call that was. We said there was no way that you would take a wet tire with how dry the track was at the start of the race, because that was a gamble. If you would destroy those expensive rain tires in the dry, as you see the rest of the field heading through turn number 3 now, especially the C5 Corvette, Stephen Cox being very careful. Another
driver we have to look out for, Bill Griffin, was scored in 8th place, crossing the line that time by. That is a blue BMW E46. He should be in shot right now if it is him. There he is in the background of that shot. He was qualified way the heck down. We don't even know where he qualified, but he's up into the top 10. He might have gambled on those rain tires, or he may just have the confidence. Just in front of him, a driver that really does well in the wet, Brad Adams, came from well down in the 20s up into the 10th position just in front of Bill Griffin.
And we saw Jake Price having a good battle there with a couple other drivers, including Brad Adams. Louis Chatroop has dropped to 6th. Eric Meadows up to 5th. Emil Tab still hanging on to 4th the last time they crossed the timing loop. So Emil Tab still getting a pretty good run. Think about the point situation, the full season points. Emil Tab's right up there in the top 3 in points. This would be huge if he could get this big of a points differential on Aaron Lichty and Eric Coutil.
Yeah, and Aaron Lichty, I don't know where he is. He was scored 22nd last time across the line, so he may have had an issue while our power was out. We didn't see if he went off as well as Eric Coutil. Coutil is still lapping. We're going to keep an eye out for where Lichty might be, but there's the leaders coming across. That's Chatroop leaving your frame, Ben Dozman. Then just behind, Eric Meadows on a huge charge. Justin Kelly's fallen back. Ryan Christoph battling right about where he was, and then that red Civic. That's Brad Adams, who's picked up a huge number of positions so far in this race.
Sally McNulty having a pretty decent run so far as well. She's up to, looked like, if we look down the order just a little bit, she's now 16th. Carrie James up 3rd. Oh, there's a lot of shuffling right now as Edgija Sadowskis jumps up to 8th place in the grid. Look at Ryan Christoph weaving and bobbing as he come out of turn 3, and up the inside comes Brad Adams into turn number 3 on the brakes. Going to get the car woe down on the wet line. It looks like he'll go by Christoph.
Yeah, and Adams was actually on the preferred line there. The track gets slick in the braking zones as well as the corners, so Adams now has the power down. He's going to pull away from the GT-style CRX. Honda versus Honda as Adams is deep into the top 10 now. I think that's maybe 8th place that he was battling for with Christoph. As the rain continues to fall, there's not enough to make any standing water, but these conditions really turning this race on its head. I wonder if Eric Meadows looked at his teammate Luke McGrew and went, I'm going to do that too, because Eric Meadows is killing it right now in 6th place, chasing down Brandon Puck and Lewis Chatroop.
Again, those two work together. Luke and Eric work together very closely, so I wouldn't be surprised if they'd made the same strategy call. Look at Brad Adams closing in on Jake Price. He is flying right now. I think that's Justin Kelly right in front of them. That would be a spot for position as well. And there's a big gaggle of cars coming out of turn 3 right now, out our window, that's having a great scrap back there. That would be around, that's way down the order, I think down towards the 30th to 40th place is how far down they are, but they're having a good fight. And there it is right there. Stephen Cox having a look behind a couple of those cars as they sneak through the backside of the course. And having a look as they come up over the crest here.
So we're halfway through this race, 8 minutes in, 15-minute races here in GridLife Touring Cup, and right now it still is Luke McGrew leading the way over Woody Hyman, and there's a great battle, a Spec Miata versus a C5 Corvette. The C5 Corvette's on the driving line, which is going to be super slippery. So watch him as he tries to put the power down, can't do it at all, and he's going to get driven around the outside by all those Miatas. Now these Miatas are basically Spec Miatas. A lot of them even run street tires because it's just cheaper and fun, and they're actually in their own right now because they have some of the better grip. It doesn't matter that they don't have a lot of power because they don't need to use all of it in the rain, and they're having a great scrap with the Corvette and then Tiffany Kelly there in the S2000.
Yeah, she had to replace the throwout bearing after qualifying. That's an issue that they've been chasing for some time, but Luke McGrew continues to lead this race. Last time by, though, Emil Tab is in second place. He's half a second back from McGrew, and he was quicker the previous lap. So Emil Tab might get there and be able to pass McGrew here by the closing moments of this race.
I think we're dealing with mixed conditions across the track as Woody Hyman goes for a huge tank slapper exiting turn 3. He keeps it pointed the right way, but lost some ground off the bumper of Emil Tab, who is back up to second, and I think either Tab has found the driving line or we had a little bit of a dry spell where the rain was less and the track might have come to him. You can see on the back half of this track, it's actually sunny, but McGrew sawing at the wheel, keeping that car just off the preferred driving line, and clearly the driver that made the call of the century today.
Well, Emil Tab was half a second behind Luke McGrew as they came across the line, but now he's nowhere to be found. To see a car off in the dirt, that's over at the exit of turn number 3. He should be able to get back on the course, and he will rejoin the racing line here. But again, Emil Tab was second place as they crossed the line, and now Tab is dropping, or at least out of the view, from Luke McGrew.
Yeah, and that was Brian DeFries that went off, and he was actually another one of the hard chargers from this race. He had qualified well down into the 30s. That's just a casual racer racing on street tires. He was thrilled on that warm-up lap, and he was doing a great job up to 14th until he went off just there.
Tiffany Kelly up the inside of Stephen Cox. That is for position. S2000 versus Corvette. That is done. That is Jorge Ortiz taking one Marchand in the green Spec Miata as they head down towards turns 5 and 6.
Start-finish line, Luke McGrew starting another lap. We are 10 minutes in, starting lap number 5. As he continues to pull away from the field. The battles that I'm looking for just outside the top 5. Who can work their way further up? Aaron Lichty has actually worked his way all the way back up to 8th. He's being scored at. Where did Eric Coutil go? 11th. So Lichty was able to recover a little bit better from his lap 1 issues than Eric Coutil, who are both just inside the top 10 right now.
So Emil Tab still running second place behind Luke McGrew now, and there is, again, Brandon Puck, who continues to run inside the top 5. Good run for him. Chatroop and Eric Meadows going for a battle here as well.
And I can tell from the wheels on that car that Meadows did not make the same call as McGrew. He's just doing a good job making the most of it. As is Chatroop, you can see just how nervous that BMW is trying to get the power down, exiting turn number 2 on its dry tires. Again, this braking line here, you see Meadows moving just a little bit offline to get a little bit more grip. That's what you want to do in the wet. But behind them, Ben Dozman in that Acura RSX, he had qualified super well, is maintaining that position in about 8th place right now.
I just wanted to point out that our timing is showing qualifying. It's set up as a qualifying session on race here, so I think that's kind of confusing. It's done by lap time. Emil Tab's actually second, and it's correct here on our timing and scoring on the screen that you're watching at home, just to help you out. But as we continue, there's Chatroop and Eric Meadows side by side. They're battling for position. Chatroop, super aggressive driver. We've seen him absolutely go after it.
Yeah.
But Eric Meadows, he's really come to life here. You have to wonder if he's made that same decision that McGrew has. Look how much grip he's got. Look at him slipping and sliding.
So that was a brilliant move by Meadows. He put Chatroop on the dry line into the middle of that corner, and you saw the big slide from Chatroop as he crossed up. Eric Meadows did the over-under and was able to gain the position. Beautiful racecraft, and you could see just the difference in the way those cars make speed. The BMW fast in a straight line, the Miata fast in the corners.
down into turn number 1, and the field it looks like everyone's actually found somehow room to race. It seems like everyone's spread out just a little bit. White flag for the race leader, Luke McGrew. Came here a couple months ago in June, got an invert in race number 4, ended up winning that race. This would be his second career win if he can button this one up and take it home. It's a long ways back to find Emil Tab in second, who has run a very clean race. And think about the season-long points picture. Emil Tab sitting in a great spot.
Woody Hyman third across the line, and those drivers, the class of the field in a big way. The closest battle we have there is now coming at us for 4th place. That's going to be Puck versus Meadows. Meadows is on a charge, maybe. He's now into the top 5. Can he get it to 4th? Another battle in the final corner, maybe some lap traffic. It's hard to say, but it looked like that was...
Meadows is coming for Puck here. This would be a battle for 4th place as they come through turn number 2, and Meadows has the rear grip that the 115 has been struggling for. We saw him go wide in turn 3 a couple laps ago. Here comes Meadows trying to get that power down. It's NB Miata versus an NC into turn 3 on the binders, and Meadows has the inside line. Can't quite get it tucked down there. Should have a run over to turn 5, though.
Yeah, there's not enough overlap on the way into the corner, so he's going to have to hang on to it. Look at Puck. Power down, oversteer, coming down the straightaway now into turn number 5. And they're going to move a little bit off the line, headed into turn 5. This is where Meadows was able to do the over-under. If he can get a run off of this corner and put Puck in the same position he did to Chatroop the previous lap.
And have a look up the inside for 7. That'd be a heck of a place to try to make a pass. Maybe you set him up for 11, Tom. Maybe you don't make this pass. You stay patient. You wait for things to cycle out. You get that run onto the back straightaway and go for it.
Yeah, the key here is no mistakes. You cannot afford a mistake. And there it is, Puck, a little bit of a slide. Meadows is on the grippy stuff. He's off the driving line. Now they have to cross the dry line at some point with this transition between turns 8 and 9. You see a little bit of brakes. The car's nervous for a second as they cross there. There's the twitch from Puck. It was a mistake. I think Meadows is going to have a run.
Cross the line. Still a big part of the field coming through to pick up their white flag for Luke McGrew, coming in here in June and winning his first ever GLTC race. He will return to victory lane at GingerMan Raceway at GRIDLIFE Midwest. Luke McGrew gets his second career victory in a wet and rainy, wild GingerMan Raceway event this afternoon. Second place should be Emil Tab as he comes out of turn number 11, but the battle for 3rd is the one we were watching. Actually, for 4th place, it would have been Puck and Meadows and Chatroop all going for it here.
Looks like Puck held onto it. They're about a couple car widths apart coming into the braking zone for turn number 11. So Hyman comes across to take 3rd place, and now it's a quick drag race. And it looks like Brandon Puck, in his second GLTC race weekend, is going to hang on for a drag race at the finish line to Eric Meadows, finishing 5th.
Great run there, and you see Ben Dozman bringing it home in 6th spot there, so that's a spectacular run. He changed some of the gearing in that car, and he was pretty satisfied with those changes in qualifying earlier today. Ryan Kristoff across the line next. It should be Brad Adams. Yes, he's going to get himself a top 10. I think Justin Kelly might have been the next in line to receive the checkered flag. Eric Catil, where is he going to end up? Points-wise, for him and Aaron Lichty, this was not going to be a good race for them.
No, and it's got them on the back foot for the rest of the weekend because, as we mentioned earlier in qualifying, GLTC races build off of the previous race. So we're going into race number 2, scoring off of fastest lap from race number 1. So that doesn't even mean that if those guys were working traffic the entire race, if they didn't get a good lap, they don't get to start in, where they finished just outside the top 10. They might have to start well back in the field.
There's still a big portion of drivers running out there battling for positions as they should have a big portion of the field coming into turn number 11 here shortly. Basically, everyone from Stephen Cox on back still has to come finish this race. They had about a 7 or 8 car gaggle that was fighting for the last couple laps. There, I think, was Scott Robertson coming across the line. There is Tiffany Kelly. And the
Charlie Enslin comes across, and there's Ronnie Solomon in the Trainer S2000 taking the checkered flag. I just took a quick look. Eric Meadows, who finished 5th, came from outside the top 25.
That's insane.
That's incredible. Great drive
all
for
come down
Eric
to
Meadows.
that tire strategy call, and there's that big gap out, or the big gaggle I was talking about a moment ago. Cross the line, lights blazing on the nose. I think that's the Corvette Stephen Cox. He will head down into turn number 1. Could not use the power, unfortunately, in the wet and slippery conditions here, but I think the rest of the weekend will be tough for him to climb out of that hole.
And I'm going to bet the rest of those cars that were stuck behind him couldn't figure out what to do with him in the corners, and then the Corvette would just rocket down the next straightaway. So that was a really cool battle between about 7 cars at the back of the field.
Well, GridLife Touring Cup race number 1 had a little bit of everything, slipping and sliding. I'm actually really proud of the entire field for going into turn 1 in the rain on slick tires, most people on slick tires, and somehow, at least I don't think, we have any body damage to
I was going to say, once again, we've demonstrated the class of the field that we have in GridLife Touring Cup, and I don't think you could turn a field of 50 cars loose in wet conditions on a surprise like that pretty much any other place and come out with a race like that.
You would have torn up cars left and right in pretty much any other place in this universe. But these guys are so good, cautious enough that we had a few offs, but there's so many cars that sometimes you have to leave a little space and you have to take a little off-road trip to get it done. But everyone did a great job there. And again, I think our timing on Race Hero is a little bit backwards right now, but we'll sort things out for you in race number 2 and cover some of the storylines before the evening race here, which will happen at dusk. And I think with the cloud cover, it might be more like nighttime.
I think so. And just looking at what we have on Race Hero, again, race number 2 will grid off of fastest lap from race number 1, which will give Luke McGrew race winner from race 1. He will have pole position for race number 2. Emil Tab second, Eric Meadows third with that charge. He got a fast lap in there as well. Brandon Puck fourth, Lewis Chatroot fifth. Notable drivers, Eric Coutil was able to turn a lap 9th quickest. Aaron Lichty was 12th quickest. So those drivers are not super buried. Strong performance for Tiffany Kelly, was 14th quick after starting at the back of the field, so she did herself huge favors. A couple other drivers that are going to be way further down the field than they would like to be. Pervez Randalia, 33rd quickest, and a bunch of drivers that just really didn't get clean laps in because of the battling and because of the conditions.
Well, it was certainly a wild one. We'll be back up for race number 2 tonight at 7:25 Eastern Daylight Time, so make sure you join us for that. Lights on and LEDs on if you got them. Turn on those pretty lights and let's make it shine here at GingerMan. We'll join you again for GLTC Race 2 later. However, we got Drift coming up next at 5:10. And again, thanks for watching GridLife Touring Cup race number 1.